Some caffeine.
Sherwin, it's good to see you.
It's nice to see me too. Thank you.
What's in your background? Etsy, what is it, Dumbo Heights, and your beautiful
Yeah,
sculpture. Your head was blocking it. I didn't see
surprise,
it.
surprise, right?
Like, oh, he's got some buildings in the background.
Instead of the
I
sky's the limit, the
saw,
forehead's the limit.
I saw a picture of myself. Like, yo, my head look mad big in this damn picture. But it's just, it's just a everyday occurrence, I guess. The big head.
Okay. Just means lots of brains. Let's start.
All right. 30 minutes passed already. Let's do this.
Okay. Good morning. Today on the podcast, we have Sherwin Banfield, legendary, well, soon to be legendary, Queens-based sculptor on the podcast. Thank you for joining us on She Makes Art for the Money, Sherwin. I hope you're having a good morning so far.
Wow. What a privilege. What an opportunity to be here talking to you both. Like, it's like a step back into my golden years, my fun times.
You're
You know, 'cause
golden.
we go way back. What I mean, like golden,
Way,
is
way
like
back.
the golden era of hip hop, like just the golden era of of life for me.
The
Like
turn of the
times, simpler
century.
times.
The 1900s. I mean, the golden era, we're kind of in our gray area now.
That's fine. Hey,
Yeah.
it's actually it's a real pleasure. Actually, I'm very excited to be here, and just connecting with you both is an opportunity just to be free, be myself, and just live a little because we have a great history. We have a great history together.
We do have a great history. So I just want to go back to Sherwin. We've known each other. Me and you know each other since high school, right? Junior year of high school. But you and I, we met at a very special school. It's called the Governor's School. That was put on by the state of New Jersey, that one student from each high school could apply for, and it had drama, right? Performance art, dance, singing, and then visual art. And that's where we met. You went to high school in Montclair, right?
Yeah,
And I went to high school in Jersey City. And
that's right.
and it was an amazing
stone's
time.
throw.
So that's where we met. And then years later, we were roommates after college in a house that we shared with two other people. And, young 20-somethings navigating their, after college life, getting jobs, being broke,
Yeah.
hot dogs for dinner. And, all
Straight
of us.
up.
And then Tanya, you were our neighbor. And Tanya, me and you go back from college and you lived around the corner.
Meeting IFL was not an amazing experience in my life. If you know me, if you know me, you know my sense of humor. I always tend to take things too far, but not too far where it's hurtful. You know what I'm saying? But we were definitely cool with each other. But it's only when I saw you walking the streets of New York, and I bumped into you, I'm like, hey, Sherwin from Governor's School, blah, blah, blah. And, we started talking. We were both looking for a place to live. And we're like, yeah, let's be roommates. I'm like, hell yeah.
That's kind of like a funny industry story because I was working with Tanya. We were working at a print design studio, and I would go out with my boss and we would design prints during the day, prints for clothing. And then in the afternoon, we would put it all in this giant binder and go to different appointments like Ralph Lauren and Armani and Gap. And we would go and sell our prints to these companies. And so me and her were walking through the fashion district in New York with our giant suitcases. And I see you coming towards me and you're like, oh my God. And you come up to me and you pick me up in the street.
I did?
Picked me up. And it took me a minute to
like
realize.
on the arms, like this.
No, you lifted me
Like a baby?
like a baby. Like a baby. Like I said, I'm 4'11". He's like 10 foot tall.
No.
And my boss is like, she's like, what is going on? And it took a minute to realize who you were because it had been a while. I mean, 6 years or whatever. And so here's this man picking me up in the middle of the street of New York City. But yeah, people tend to do that to me.
Pick her up like a baby.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time somebody just like, look.
Yeah. So hilarious. That's when I met your extended family of friends, Jennifer, Christian, and Tanya.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you wanted to know my impression of when I first met you?
Yeah, go for
You
it.
wanted to know?
Careful.
I was not the biggest fan, I gotta tell you. I was not the biggest fan
I
because
started mocking you from the
because you
very
came as
first,
a
roasting you from the very first moment.
who
She's a
First,
banana. It's hard on the
I,
outside, soft on the inside. You got to peel slowly.
I remember first meeting you, and you were wearing that giant lion necklace.
yes, yeah.
And something, you know what though, Sherwin? Maybe this is something about you. You're very approachable, maybe too approachable,
Uh-huh.
because I was
I
just
had
like,
icebreakers. I had icebreakers. I had this big thing you could talk about instantly when you meet me.
yeah.
But how you talk about it determined how the relationship went.
I remember that's where I gave you the nickname Mufasa. Because you had that big lion, the big lion, and I still every once in a while I'll be like, "Hey, Mufasa." But you're a Leo, right? Your birthday is you're a Leo
Yep.
in August. Wait
Well,
a
if it makes you feel any better, Sherwin or Mufasa, Mufi for sure. If you're Hispanic, your name would be Mufi right now. Anyway, Tanya was mean to me too the first time I met her. So, you know, it's just, you just got to work for it. You got to work for it. And, you know, we've continued to be friends since then and, you know, moved in different places. We all live in different states right now. And,
In different time zones.
different time zones.
Yes.
And you moved to Queens where you are, you know, a big part of the community, and you have used that in your artwork as well. As the legends of Queens has been a lot of the base of your inspiration for your sculptures. And I just wanted to ask you a question. Like, let's get into like the real part of why you're here, because you're famous now, right? Like, let's just say it, you know, we can
Got a
Google
little
you.
buzz.
AI knows who you are, so you've made it.
Oh, what?
Chat knows
Yeah,
I
you.
know
yeah.
that.
I call Chat
Oh,
Chad. He's my friend. And
forgot that.
and so I want to know, because I know you as you were a painter, you were an illustrator, you went to Parsons. You went to Parsons for what was your major?
Illustration.
Illustration.
Okay.
And then now you are a sculptor, and you're not just a sculptor, you are a huge integral part of the community, and you're a well-known sculptor. I just want to know, like, what made you transition from brush pen to sculpture?
Challenge.
Challenge. Okay.
Yeah, sculpture presented the most challenging possibilities for me.
Mm.
It's, of course, painting is very challenging too. And there is there's pros and cons to each discipline that you choose. But for me, sculpture presented the most challenging um, layers to learn, to dissect, and to actually master. So sculpture really offered me a lot to learn, and I realized it's something that I'm truly attracted to. Like when you go back to what we were talking about, living together in Jersey City, we got our first jobs, and the jobs were paying us a salary that we didn't even consider was real,
Mhm.
right? Because we grew up with not having much, and our parents didn't have much. When we got those first jobs, we were like, "This is the salary I'm getting? Oh my God, I
I
can
know.
actually do things now." And one of the things I did was travel. I was able to travel and see, sculptures in Rome. I was able to travel in Paris. I was able to travel, to Japan and see all the different arts, how each culture represented itself, and the talent and the resources allowing talent to flourish. Like especially in Rome, you got the architecture mixed in with the art, sculpture.
Yeah.
Everything is fluid. Like to see the sculptures there, Bernini, Michelangelo, it's just outstanding.
How long did you stand there looking at them? Because
Since I'm tall, I'm right at the right angle to look, exactly where you would
Oh,
look,
you were
right?
studying.
you were studying.
You were studying it.
I was studying,
No.
comparing, try to dissect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Messy.
And
I remember when you were taking classes with was it the Art Students League? That's where you started really getting into sculpture. And
yeah.
and it's really fun to see this transition that you made, because there was really like almost like a classical approach. You mentioned David, you mentioned traveling to Italy. But when I think about your art, there's this classical aspect to it, but then there's really modern, and your approach has like a really nice kind of mix. Can you talk a little bit about that mix with classical
Yeah.
training and all that?
I compare it to hip hop, right? Because what hip hop did is it sampled the work of musicians, right? the work of James Brown, the work of your greats like Ella Fitzgerald and Bill Withers and so many others and the Beatles even, and that time of music was all analog. It contained true musicianship and recorded in the studio with all musicians around. So you have a soul that's built into the sound. And that was something I totally attracted to. So when I consider my art, consider, the deep historic study of fine arts, which involves countless hours of being in the studio, understanding what anatomy is, understanding movement, dimensions, spatial relationships, all of these um, teaching elements that you would learn as an artist in those times because I put the work in and it shows, a violinist that goes to Carnegie Hall, it's there. You don't get there without the practice and the hours. So yeah, my work is involving, the tradition of sculpting clay, understanding how to cast, how to finish a piece, patina it, because finishing is very important, right? You mix that with like contemporary materials like, resin and stainless steel and using also audio components and solar panels, sustainable art. That's all part of my wheelhouse and how I create and put everything together. It's starting in the organic tradition, analog world of art making with your hands and studying. So the hip hop that helped me transition into this culture helped me to develop this work that I'm catching a wave on right now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
deep.
So now you're at the Art Students League, you're learning about sculpture. What do you remember the moment when you thought it would be really cool for me, for you to start doing artwork and sculptures based on hip hop? Was there something that you came across one day or something you thought about for a long time? Or is it just kind of like a light bulb moment?
I don't remember it because I would always also have a sketchbook, just throughout, my life, from Parsons on up to the Art Students League. But there's this thing where your environment helps to curate where your life will be, right?
Inspiration everywhere. Yeah.
I grew up in East Orange, New Jersey. That's truly an introduction to hip hop because the cars that pass by will always play in hip hop. The school that I went to, the kids went to hip hop, right? I remember Public Enemy, Slick Rick, Rakim, De La Soul, all those were in my constant surrounding. But the neighborhood didn't have a lot of resources, right? So the thing is, we moved to Montclair from East Orange, and it's a completely different environment. It's a completely different resource pool. Had access to a town museum, Montclair Art Museum.
Which
I
is
had
a really good
access
museum.
to
Yeah.
college campus. I had access to art classes. I had access to parks, friends whose parents were jazz musicians. I had access to a different type of influence. I'm the type of person, I'm an artist, right? We're all artists. So we have this ability to kind of like just dance and maneuver into any environment that we're in because we have something to offer. We always have something to offer, which is art. And the way I got back into art was through the Art Students League. First by taking a drawing class and then finding the sculpture studios, which were in the basement, which I thought was only lockers or nothing. I thought nothing was down there.
So
when
you
it
was the Art
opened,
Students League with the idea to study sculpture. You were there for
no,
just expanding your art, and then it came across.
just to reignite my art, just to reignite the muscle memory of drawing and possibly painting. Painting, because I did take a workshop in Italy, in Florence, through the Art Students League. And I saw I saw the David, right? So
Keeps coming
but then
back
I
to the David.
found
Wait a second.
When I went to Italy, I saw a lot of Davids too. I'd like to go back.
so there's this so it was the elevator that took me to, almost like it's fate. The elevator took me to the basement, and I discovered that there were welding studios, casting studios, and to the back where I had the skylights, there was the sculpting studios,
That's
which
amazing.
I witnessed like large, life-size, full-scale sculpture happening with the model and, folks just trying to figure out how to get this model into clay form. It's like, yo, this is here? When? How? And I thought I was like, that's something I want to do because I'd already traveled at this point. I was already in admiration of the work that I saw throughout Italy and Japan and other places. But when I saw the sculpture, I was like, yo, I gotta try this. Because in government school, I did try sculpting. I made a big lion. I made a big Mufasa. Like, so yeah, the art students league was definitely the beginning of the sculpting career.
I could see that you had a lot of, a good deal of technical expertise, but you were really leaning into that and investing in your technical expertise. And that really comes
Hmm.
through in your art. I think that's really foundational in your art. But then this
Hmm.
layer on of technology and cultural relevance is really a nice mashup. And so it's just kind of fun to hear you talk about these different influences and how it all came together. Um, this musical inspiration, musical kind of nod, um, is unique in some ways, and,
Hmm.
when you think about your musical inspiration, we also think about your Caribbean heritage, and does that come through in any way?
Booyakasha.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's a great question. And absolutely, yes. And there's an aspect within, I think, this is me personally, within the Caribbean islands, particularly the English colonized islands, which kind of took on that aristocracy, that royal culture that's kind of, it emanates into the culture, right? Uh, and so there's a diplomacy, this understanding of how to navigate those types of settings. So yeah, growing up in the Caribbean, in Trinidad, you're surrounded by culture. Um,
Yeah.
we have the influences of multiple cultures. We have the Asian, Chinese influence. We have the Indian, Indo influence. We have the Spanish from Venezuela influence, right? We have the English. We have also some French, and we also have the African, of course, the African. So all those kind of blend up makes a special kind of culture. We have carnival, right? And carnival is our cultural identity of sorts, right? We also have amazing cuisine. So growing up as a kid, everyone participated in carnival. I can show you pictures of myself in costume growing up in carnival, right? I can show you my hair was still big then, right? You can roast it, right? You can continue to
I
roast.
Not the ones in Speedos, though, okay? Sequin
we just
Speedos
put
with the
some,
head.
some marks on top of the inappropriate stuff, but we will be posting them if you send them.
So, we have all of this culture. Every year we have new calypso music that come out in support of the New Year carnival, right? There's new music that's launched for that carnival season. And around me, there's always speaker boxes. But yeah, so those speakers really had an impact on me, because as a
Yeah.
kid, you're walking past, you can't avoid it. You're walking into it's like art that's in your space. Those speakers ended up
Yeah.
in my sculptures as a quality, another way of experiencing my art, right? You have the visual, you have the tactile because it's actual sculpture, you can touch it, but yet you have the audible aspect of it because the music plays from the artist represented. So yeah, that my Caribbean culture came in to my art via the music.
Love it. I
The
love it.
thumping.
So since we're talking about music, your walk-up song, Little De La Soul Action, can you talk to us a little bit more about that choice?
Yeah, so I gave you two, right? I gave you Jerry the Damager, which is the original, and I gave you De La Soul.
Stakes is high.
Stakes is high. Yes, Stakes is high. De La Soul is my favorite hip hop group. It's between De La and Tribe, but really it's De La Soul because they're the first cassette tape that I bought. Yeah.
Oh.
It was always for me, it was always De La, really. Yeah, yeah.
My first cassette tape was Kill 'Em All by Metallica. And, and I'm still, 700 years later, a huge fan of them. And that first love almost, of how music inspires you. And I still love Creeping Death. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's funny. Did that happen in Jersey City? Or was it
Yeah.
in Hoboken?
Jersey
Yeah,
City, yeah. PS number 8. Was
so
in
happened
school
to
at
me. We
PS
start
number
in
8 with
uh,
Cause, the artist Cause, and who he was also in school with me. And so
you kidding
that
me?
yeah, no, Jersey City was like a place, there's a couple of I didn't become a celebrity, but yeah, I went to
Let me give
school
you
with
a story.
Brian, grade school and high school with Brian, and he snapped my bra once.
I'm
And
to fame.
That's
hey,
my claim to fame.
I mean, you were blessed, so maybe he wanted to
Brian
receive your
Donnelly,
blessings.
aka
Look,
Cause. I'm not gonna forget
So,
that. You asked
so I went to a last year. I went to an exhibition at Salon 96 in support of John Ahern, right? Well-known Bronx sculptor who does light cast of the
Mm.
local community, right? And so he was there, and his brother Charlie was like, "Hey, Charlie, just want to get a quick picture, right?" Like, yeah. So I'm like, "Hey," so the person he was talking to, like, "Hey, do you mind taking a picture of us?" He's like, "Sure, no problem." So he took the picture, blah blah blah, and I went home and I saw a picture of him, myself, and Charlie that a photographer at the event took, and someone said, "Oh yeah, this is Cause with Charlie Ahern and Sherwin Banfield." I'm like, damn, that was Cause that I interrupted Charlie Ahern to take a picture of me.
that's funny.
You're like, scooch over.
I'm like,
Hold my
excuse me,
beer.
my guy. I need to talk to Charlie. And by the way, can you take a picture of us?
Yeah, we went to the same grade school, and then high school was an amazing art high school for performance and visual arts. And Brian would never show up to school. And what do you know? That idiot's like a famous artist now.
Yo, that is out of
I'd
control.
make fun of him like on the train, be like, "You don't ever go to class. Like you're so lucky to get a spot here." And he had bigger
Maybe
ambitions, I guess.
was he in love with you? Did he like you? It sounds like he did.
He did not like
Oh,
me, no. I did have a crush on him, on any skater boy pretty much, but no. He paid
yeah,
zero attention to me. He was a very nice kid.
yeah.
Very nice kid.
He's probably gonna get a street named after him, the keys to the city, a
That's what it sounds like.
school named after him.
Anyway, let's not talk about him. He's got enough people talking about him. Let's talk about you. Sculpture you have behind you is one of the most iconic pieces right now. That one of the ones you're the most proud of, and what's going on there? Because there's a lot of symbolism there. Maybe to make someone understand who's never seen your sculpture, we could tell by the head it's Biggie Smalls, but then there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of objects on there. Can you walk us through your process and what it all means?
Yeah, yeah. Most of my sculpture has been a stepping stone to the other. Um, each piece contains usually an element of the previous piece. So my first sculptures, which happened in Socrates Park, with a fellowship from their opportunity, I constructed three sound sculptures, right? Which was influenced by these acoustic instruments made by the Tin Milloween people out of the Pacific Ocean, in the middle of the ocean. So there are these three tall, strikingly tall, obviously maybe 16 feet tall structures that they put as a three-piece, with large heads on the top, cylinder bodies. It's made out of the breadfruit tree, carved completely out of the breadfruit tree, and they were acoustic instruments used to communicate with different villages or different communities across spaces. And I'm like, that's a dope. I love how this is, created. So when it came time for me to do my sculptures, I decided to do the same thing, something similar, right? We three different hip hop artists, all from Queens. You have Jam Master Jay, who is the DJ in the center, Run DMC. And then we have a Tribe Called Quest, Five Dog, who is also Trinidadian. And he is, representative of that conscious backpack rapper jazz quality, right? So you have one rock influence of Jam Master Jay, you have this jazz influence quality of the Tribe Called Quest. Then you have the third member in the sculpture is Prodigy of Mobb Deep, who emphasizes like the gritty street narrative, project life of Queensbridge projects that have this quality of these sculptures from these people from the Pacific Ocean. Then from that piece, I transitioned into making an LL Cool J piece. And the LL Cool J piece was my first introduction to using solar power because there wasn't any power tap in the park. Right, this is Flushing Meadow Corona Park. So the answer to the problem to keep the music quality intact was solar power, and I had to design the actual piece around the measurements, the dimensions of the solar panel because it has to fit fluidly. So that's how that came into be, right? And I first started using resin with the LL Cool J piece because I wanted to create this radio quality boombox, and I wanted to see through it to see this G.O.A.T, GOAT acronym through the boombox, right? And it worked. It worked out really well. The next piece that came up that was still in line with the figures was the Biggie. So everything I took from the LL and from the Cypher in Queens, the previous sculptures, ended up in the Biggie. So the LL was the first one that had bronze casting, right? And he's known as the King of New York because how he brought hip hop at the time West Coast was when Biggie came on the scene, he brought it right back, all the attention back to New York. So he became the King of New York. And these other qualities of like this resin piece, which is his Coogee sweater, this known like fashion piece that he made very very popular, very iconic. So I wanted to take the resin to the next level by incorporating color in the Coogee design style, right? But still with pieces of it that are translucent, you can see through it. So you see the heart that is, the same GOAT quality from the LL, which is this neon sign, neon light. Now it's a heart. And the heart is just the outline because the heart is taken out of his heart and placed into his hands. And the hands hold the heart and it holds a microphone, right? It's not a blunt, like some folks were saying online. It's actual microphone, right? And the microphone was also taken from the LL Cool J statue because LL has on his right arm a tattoo of a microphone, right? And I decided to put that tattoo in the LL piece, and the tattoo has a crowned microphone. So Biggie is now holding the crown microphone, which is considered the throne. So he is the current king of hip hop.
Deep once again.
The first piece was regular steel. The Cypher in Queens were regular steel, which was painted, right? The LL Cool J used stainless steel, right? Which is a more durable steel and does not rust. The Biggie also uses stainless steel, right? This design that was based on architecture, but also architectural ideas, but also based on the arms and armor section at the Met. So it's really a larger than life form that is also armor and also is reflective of the environment. He is Brooklyn, Brooklyn is him, right? But there's one piece that is not stainless steel, and that's this piece in the center. And that piece is regular cold steel, which is meant to rust.
Okay.
And it's going to rust because the environment helps to create the piece, like the environment helped to create Biggie, right? So the rusting is part of the actively changing part of the piece. This panel is a metaphor for how Brooklyn helped to help create this actual piece.
There's something really poetic about the way you're talking about the materials and the rust and the things that'll last, the things that'll degrade, and how they're being impacted. And you're being so thoughtful about the materials. It really does look like he's wearing a cloak of the stainless steel, like it's kind of like a king would wear his cloak, and so it's really, really poetic. One of the things that we try to get into is there's obviously the aesthetic, conceptual side of art creation, the theory, and even the technical side that's so important for most artists that are listening or designers listening to understand. We also like to talk about logistics, finance, and really the money of it all. It's really a part of our title, right? And so when you're talking about all these different materials, resin and stainless steel and regular steel and brass, those are expensive materials. Can you talk a little bit about some of that logistical stuff, how you purchase, fund, and basically budget to make these amazing, really large pieces, they're not cheap.
No, they're not cheap. Public art is not a cheap avenue of art to get into. Sculpture in general is not cheap. There are ways of making your sculpture uh, um, with cheap materials, like plaster, right? Plaster is very affordable. Clay is very affordable. Wood and a steel pole is very affordable if you want to make a portrait bust, right? So there's ways, right? But once you start getting into outdoor public sculpture, you got to make sculpture that actually can withstand, especially the four seasons of New York. So the materials have to be able to withstand that. And my materials is that. To talk about the price of it, when I first started, I got a grant, right? There's an open call in different states. There's open calls all the time. But if there's opportunities for open calls from art foundations, art institutions. And if you submit your work, a sculpture, and they are convinced by your proposal that this is doable and it's impactful for all the right reasons, and it falls in line with the culture or statement of that institution, then your work gets selected and they will help fund it. So you might go over budget or not. My pieces obviously were over budget, so I enlisted the help of friends. I have a friend who is a fabricator. He understands steel, he understands how to work things, and he helped me with my first piece. He probably did about $20,000 worth of work for like $4,000.
This is the interesting part of artwork, is that I feel like it's good for people to actually give us the numbers and really be transparent about it, you know?
Yeah. And, I did the sculptures of the face with like minimal material, low cost materials, clay, wood, and steel frame to make the heads. And I casted it in winter stone, which is more expensive than plaster, maybe triple the cost, but not exuberant where you can't afford it, right? And I was able to build it, and parts were made in cement and paint. And I used wood to fill in the other aspects of the sculpture that had steel and bolted together to the steel. So there's more handiwork, there's more sweat, equity that gets pushed into the work, and sometimes I don't get paid. But the idea was to show up and showcase something that is so moving and overwhelming.
You invested your own money.
In myself. Yeah. And it paid off completely because the right people saw it. And from Socrates Park, it went to Queens Public Library with Ralph Daniels of Video Music Box, which he is a huge player in the development of hip hop video scene. Broadcasting images of hip hop culture on TV, a huge deal. And from there, then each project kind of organically came into, my creative stratosphere. The LL piece, which was next, that was the invisible staircase, right? Which is the term I learned from a friend of mine at Socrates. She's like, you just gotta just put one foot in front of you and the staircase would appear. If you got good intentions, the work is good, the idea is going to take, it's going to grow legs. Because my first sculpture I made in the basement of my building, because the Super and I were cool, and he allowed me space. Super gave me space because he himself started sculpting after seeing my work, when I was moving in.
Yeah. Was he a Dominican Super? Because he's not a Super unless he's Dominican.
He's an El Salvadorian.
Oh, okay. I'll let it pass.
He helped me cast some of the cement pieces because he understood cement better than I did, and he helped me cast it. So, in making the LL piece, I didn't have a place to sculpt, but there's opportunities always came up. LMCC, which is Lower Manhattan Cultural Media, I think, they had an open call for space on Governor's Island. I put my application in. They loved it. They're like, okay, you're part of the cohort. So I had to piecemeal take my sculpting stand and materials onto the train, right?
Oh man, the train
onto the ferry, and build it day by day until I had the full workspace and all my materials. And I sculpted.
Were you holding the train doors open? Holding the train doors open.
This is such a New York thing.
Hold on.
Oh my God. Having to transport things on the train is like the bane of my existence growing up.
Giving you the side eye, the vicious side eye.
Yeah, like this dude, this guy.
Oh my God.
On my morning commute.
Let us hear about the Biggie story.
I met someone who's like, yo, I want to do this. I want to do a biggie sculpture. I want to fund it. I want to, commission one. Meet me here in Brooklyn and I'll show you the space. We'll talk about it. All right, it's cool. Went to Brooklyn, met him at the space, checked it out, took pictures, and I said, okay, I'll make a proposal, I'll make the drawings, and I'll email it to you. You have the full package, which is something you have to learn as well, right? How to sell yourself, sell the idea on words through a written proposal, have all the drawings, all of the breakdown of the budget and all that set up.
It's a running theme we're hearing about the power of being able to communicate your ideas before in theory and concept before people invest. So that's really good that you're underscoring that. Is it a
Yeah,
physical
that's
package? Is
super
it
important.
a digital package that you do?
Digital package. So you have to be able to sell folks on your idea and be able to write it up. Because folks have money and they want to make sure you're able to follow through and deliver. Downtown Brooklyn and Dumbo had a fund from the governor to reopen uh, uh, Dumbo and downtown Brooklyn with art performances, culture to get folks back outside. Got the proposal, reconfigured the proposal to downtown Brooklyn because Biggie went to high school in downtown Brooklyn, and so I rewrote it to appeal to downtown Brooklyn at Dumbo, and they liked it and they funded it. And
That's great.
And
Nice.
this was a piece I was able to actually pay myself as well because the LL there was no money in that. I just got a series of grants to help pay for that and my own money, but the Biggie was the first one. I got a full amount.
So you apply for funding. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes you have to subsidize. You've been getting some sponsors to help you create these sculptures. What I'm curious about, like, how do you get it? Now, you mentioned that you were putting stuff on the train. It's a very New York thing to carry random stuff on a train. I think I carried a couch once with my dad on the subway. Random stuff people bringing on the train. How do you get these massive pieces from point A to point B?
Okay, so you can hire an actual professional moving art movers to help you move and install. Now, I have a friend, the same friend who helps fabricate this piece, right, and many others. His name is Hawksu Lee. So we reconstruct these pieces in a way that's movable. So parts can come off, take them to the site, and we usually have a frame with concrete like pilings that are 6 inches tall that we're able to install, dig in, and kind of pull out because these are not permanent pieces; these are temporary pieces. So when you work with the parks department, you have to make sure your pieces can be installed and deinstalled with the site being put intact from where it was before.
Sherwin, this has been amazing. And we're getting a history lesson. We're getting a cultural lesson. We're really getting just art history for all these amazing pieces that are really, really not only iconic, but giving such honor to artists and history that honestly, while they are revered in so many circles, not every circle has exposure. And I think so the fact that you're widening the influence and the impact of these amazing artists and figures is really profound. And so we're just really excited to be able to chat with you about this. You keep talking about your process and how it's evolving and growing, and you're learning from each thing you do, how to do the next thing better. This podcast is really about learning and teaching and giving back. Or when we started talking about it, it was like, what are we curious about the way artists and designers work? How do we want to like spread information and love to really help support design and artists? Because here we are, a group of brown, Black artists, designers, and there's not that many, when you think about people that are out there thriving. And so to be able to pay it forward, like you said, is really, I feel almost like a responsibility, but also a joy, because art and design have brought so much joy and opportunity for all of us. Honestly, sure, we want to thank you so much.
Yeah, to your viewers, show up, do the work, and network. Art shows, winnings, be in spaces where there's people with money. And that includes museums, galleries, and learn to talk to folks. Like really introduce yourself, sell yourself, and especially if you have a few pieces that are out there that have momentum, I have to cheat code because I'm in public art. Public art, you have to say something because it's in your space, right? So
Mm.
it's instant. It's instant like you press. So, if you have something that's already trending for you, that's giving you momentum, be able to talk about that, be able to sell yourself and showcase, who you are and what ideas you have. And if you meet someone that can help you in your journey, say, I know how I can help you and your brand because I have something to offer, you know. So
Nice.
sell yourself, network,
Yourself,
and do the
network,
work.
and
Do the
yeah,
work.
make friends.
Make friends. Do the
Make
work and
friends.
make
For
friends.
sure. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just had such a great time learning about your process. I feel like whenever we get together, it's either chaos with the kids or we're just hanging out. But it's really great to hear you as an artist perspective, and to hear your process and to see you just grow into this amazing artist. I always tell my kids like their Uncle Sherwin's going to be in the history books. Isn't that great? He's not just a dork.
And it's good to be in company that knew me as a dork, because there's
Mhm.
multiple parts of me.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
keeps us real.
So,
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We're going to promote it like crazy.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I hope to see you soon.
Thank you again. It was good to see you.
Bye.
Likewise. Love to see your family too.
Brush your teeth.